priorities and recommendations for actions going forward. Now, over the last couple of months, last month we reviewed all those natural area inventory landscapes that were created by the county a couple years ago, and we realized that we have three major areas. This Perkiomen Creek Spring Mountain section is a significant natural area. The whole Swamp Creek corridor all the way out to Berks County is a significant natural area. And then the Stone Hill area that was mentioned here tonight, which is the top of the hill, the sister hill for Spring Mountain, is also a natural area landscape that was designated as significant. But we still have lots of area in between where we have farms and communities and those types of issues that we have to incorporate into this whole open space conversation. So, do you know where you're going from here?
I think I did.
This is John Bigelow, who's our planner from the county. He's going to take over from here.
Hi. Good to see everybody.
John, I'll give you a hint. The room has lousy acoustics.
All right. That's awesome. It's time to project.
Yeah, time to project.
So, how many of you were at the open house at the start of this? So I've got some of the results from a preserve, enhance, and transform exercise, a PET exercise. And there's some clear standout priorities from this. That open space, natural areas, and development were major concerns with preserving what is now in place in the township. Some other larger runners-up are trails and streams. You see there's concern for historic resources here too. Under enhance, we've got strong responses for trails and the town centers, and concern about native plants, traffic again, and responses for other topics related to the natural resources and open spaces you've got here. And under transform, again, traffic, development, town centers, community center, concern for the walkability, natural areas, recreation. And those are all topics that we're focusing on tonight. So here in Lower Frederick, you've been through some planning cycles with open space plans. You've now had 3 of them, or 3 planning cycles. And you've got the regional comprehensive plan. And from those, we've got some goals that cover these topics. They can be broadly grouped into 5 categories, where we're talking about growth, talking about pedestrian and walking mobility, recreation, open space. Let's see if I can break this. Okay, nice.
That's good.
Okay.
The visual's okay, just the audio is the problem.
I'll do what I can. Natural and historic resource protection, natural amenities, and the agricultural heritage of the township. Those are 5 that seem to come up again and again over the last several decades. And taking all of those goals from the plans, these are the words that appear again and again, most often, that we're looking at the opportunities to preserve the natural open space, recreation, resources. So,
to get back to the goals for 1 second. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is take what we've talked about, or you've talked about in your last couple meetings regarding open space and natural features, and get to some strategies for how to protect them, how to preserve them, how to enhance them. But before we can get into what those strategies are, we need to sort of agree on what the goals are for those strategies. And so that's why we sort of went back to not only the open house feedback that we got, which will help us create priorities and goals, but also to your past planning, and making sure that these are the goals and they're still valid. That's kind of part of this comprehensive plan process is. So here's what we've thought about in the past as a community. Growth management, accommodate efficient growth has been a goal of the open space plans and the regional comprehensive plan. Is that still valid? Is that still something that we believe in? Is it something that we still want to create as a priority for Lower Frederick Township. And so same with pedestrian and bicycle mobility, enhancing that, providing some active recreation for the residents, and then just sort of straight natural resource protection, preserve natural resources, and then sort of special emphasis on preserving agricultural heritage. So a lot of this is for the committee in general and then for the public input. But are there any other goals that have come up over the last, 2 meetings of discussion, or that you feel from the open house or any of the other public feedback? Are there other goals, again, specific to open space and natural features that would be important? Or we can sort of get into the general universe of goals, because then under each of these we can start identifying specific strategies for how to further or implement that goal. But we want to sort of make sure that we have the goals in place.
The question, has any research been done to check the ages in the Lower Frederick Township? That is, somebody from 0 to 20 does not have the same goal as somebody my age. Okay? So, that's my question. Has any data been gained about the ages of the people in Lower Frederick Township?
So you mean, so just demographically, like what is the age range? How many people are over 80? How many people are under 20?
Well, I'd like 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60. Some sort of numerical calculation.
So one of the background pieces for the study, the plan that we're going to be working on, will be a demographics chapter, which will go into all of the different ages, population, housing statistics, income, and all of that. So that will be done and presented as part of the demographics.
But that's like getting the cart before the horse.
Well, so what we got...
To me, that's the cart before the horse. It seems to me your open space goals would depend on the age of your population.
Well,
Not your population then determines.
I do think our population is skewed a little bit older. I don't have the numbers handy, but but we don't have a lot of new housing developments in the area that would bring a lot of young children into the community. We have the townhouse communities, and there are lots of kids over there, and we can bear this out, but I don't think we have a bottom-heavy, it's called a population pyramid. You stack all your groups up and down. If your population is heavy at the bottom with a lot of young people, then you do want to plan for active parks and ball fields and those types of things.
Absolutely.
Right. If your population is a little older, we're not playing soccer all the time. I'm not anyway. And you need different types of facilities to accommodate the recreational needs of an older population. And that was what the purpose of the open house was. We did try to invite young people to that open house. I advertised it at the high school, and I tried to get the kids I know to come, and they just really weren't interested. So it's the wisdom of the people who did show up who provided this kind of feedback about what's important to them in this community. I agree with you, the people who show up at these meetings do get to make the decisions about how the plan goes forward.
And there's nobody under 30 here.
I feel it.
I'm sorry. Is somebody under 30?
The fellow sitting right next to you is under 30.
We're under 30. Sorry about that. All right, we have
He's
one.
not around.
A token under 30.
So, but as we go, one of the things that we're trying to do here is determine the things we need to preserve. How we would use that preserved land would be more pertinent to that age breakdown that you're talking about. If we're just talking about how do we want to control growth and how do we want to protect natural resource areas, that's kind of separate from do we need more parks, more ball fields, more basketball courts, that type of thing. So once we have the goals in mind, the actual boots on the ground later would decide what we're going to use that open space for. So that's a question that's pertinent, but not necessarily pertinent to tonight's conversation. Okay?
We do have a lot of that information compiled in our regional plan.
Yeah.
There's all the census data, we know that information.
Yeah, it's available.
And there are different types of active recreation. I mean, that's it. We're not just talking Little League ball fields for people under 30. there is active recreation for older adults as well. And so I think we're finding more and more, trails are part of that active recreation component for bicycling and for jogging and all that too. So it's not, there's different types of active recreation.
We've got a couple parks already with active recreation areas, and we look at how heavily they're used, and
These are all on silent again.
I mean, you've got the two parks here, they've got basketball courts, they've got a ball field. I go by them all the time, and they're hardly used.
I know. It's kind of sad.
And that's part of what the open space plan has looked at in the past, and what we would look at in an open space chapter moving forward.
We're also putting it 20 years out, right, not today, so it's 20 years out, it might look different than population looks today.
I'd like to make a comment on that some of these ideas for open space actually have crossover in terms of the demographics. The walking trail can be young families with children, it can be older people that have a little bit more limited ability to walk, and depending on whether it's flat areas or rugged areas. But I would suspect that one consideration is the ability to cross over generations with the type of open space that would be considered.
Yeah, you always want to hit as many things as you can when you're buying something. You get as many different types of benefits from that property.
In regard to population figures, most of the demographics contained in both the county and the regional plans were based on the 2010 census. Now that we are, perhaps it's very fortuitous timing that we have, that we're putting our comprehensive plan together now. Next year is the 2020 census. So that would give you a really good, feeling as to, what is the current population as you're putting this plan together. And also, you look at the category, as the one gentleman said, what's going to be 20 years from now. So those would be probably the two demographics that you would look at when next year's census is completed and plan accordingly.
Right. And a lot of those, they update every 3 to 5 years too. So we do have running census totals beyond the setting. Yeah, they did say it's all done by the Census Bureau. It's like the American Community Survey, they do 3 to 5 year averages and do it every year. It's just a sample size though. It's not.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If you look at all of our open space plans and all of our plans, it usually says the demographics based on the 2010 census. So that's what I'm saying. We're just at the information will be heard.
I mean, the county does projections for the school district based on housing and sales, and not into some of those presentations. But I know in our regional plan, they project 2020 will have just a skinch over 5,000 residents. And in 2030, our regional plan, again, this was done in 2014, was saying about 5,400 residents. What the projection was at that time.
And they're done by the Regional Planning Commission, and they are updated every 3 years, I believe.
Even though we're valid regional plan,
Right.
gives it.
Exactly.
It's kind of projections.
So from the goals, and what we'll do is, following up this meeting and these discussions, is we're going to be then now sort of writing that chapter of the plan, which will talk about and do an inventory of the demographics related to open space, related to natural features, put the background information out there for everybody, and then put out what the recommendations and strategies are for the open space. So we want to look at some of the potential strategies. We can sort of look at.
So are those 5 goals still pertinent to what we want to do in Lower Frederick? That's the first yay or nay? Are we all, okay, growth management, yay or nay?
Yeah.
Okay. Pedestrian and bicycle mobility, yes or no? Yes. Any no's? Oh, yes. Active recreation, do we need more ball fields? Do we need more active recreation space? Or are we looking for a different kind of
No.
preserve?
They're not used now. And you just heard what he said about Springfield. And I live near Springfield, there's hardly anybody here.
I would say the pedestrian and bicycle mobility is also a different active recreation. I mean, you look at the Herculean Trail, and it's very busy, right?
Yeah.
So it's the ball fields and that type of thing, I don't think is a priority, but, you know, recreation with trails, walking, I think it is.
I think we need to think about, do we want to have a place in our township where the entire population can come together? I mean, we've all tried to go to, you know, the fall festivals and the Easter egg hunt, and we don't have enough space anywhere in our township to gather the residents and have them have a place to park, okay?
That's the only thing is parking.
Yeah, the parking is the big thing. I think that's
I think it's brought up.
They're available.
Yeah, I think that's something we need to think about. It was great we had that movie, okay? We had that in the neighboring township. We wouldn't have a place in our township to have a community movie.
Unless you make a deal with the utilizing parking at Springtown Ski area and then walk across the bridge.
So I have a question about that section. So I think we're in agreement that we're not fully utilizing the active recreation spaces we have. But could this category also be construed to mean maybe we need to repurpose some of those areas to provide the kind of active recreation that we need now in the future, even though what's there now is not being fully utilized. So it may not be that we don't need the active recreation, maybe we have the wrong kind of active recreation space.
And that's in a lot of municipalities, what they'll do is that exact same thing. They'll go through a master planning process for each of their parks and look at what the options are, alternatives are for use of that park.
I was arguing that may still be useful, maybe just
Right.
to rethink what we need in the future, maybe it's not all.
Ruth, are we, Gail, sorry.
I'd like to add that they're woven together, these issues. That if you have pedestrian bicycle mobility going to your active recreation, they might go to it. If you have pedestrian bicycle mobility, you may not have a parking problem to go to some of your other sites. So you have to think of them as, quote, the great word holistic here, not as separate entities, but how they supplement and add and enrich each other.
I think that's a good point because in the next couple months, we'll be getting into the transportation and infrastructure conversation. And one of the conversations we'll have there has to do with, again, trails, bicycle ways, connections, sidewalks, all those ways that people can get around the community without having to get in your car and drive.
So a family may use the active recreation site that is not being used now if they had an easy and safe way to get there.
Put the kids on bikes and just go.
Or they may use the passive open space if they had an easy way to get there without necessarily parking.
There's going to be a lot of crossover in all these sections of what we're doing here. Certainly growth management is going to come into play when we talk about community character and development. That'll cross over into there. The bikes and the peds also are going to cross over into the transportation section. So I kind of see a lot of these issues merging with each other as we put this plan together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as far as the active recreation, a lot of us had kids that play through CP. So, you know, even though when they're getting things started off, and sometimes in the spring or whatever, they reach out to other areas. Like they'll send people to PD school district to play. So our parks aren't set up that way. We don't have a baseball field or anything that could be played on.
Right.
You know, so the only thing that CP does is they send people up the west. You know.
Well, and I think that brings up a good point. And maybe one of the things we would look at is there a way to incorporate the giant middle school property into active recreation space? Is there some way to cross over and allow communities to use that?
They do.
Well,
I think they charge for that.
Yeah, you're not just supposed to show up there.
Well, I mean, I think they, you know, one of their money making, they will charge outside entities to come in.
Yeah, but it's just in terms of a trail or people do a pickup game on the walk or something.
Middle school, that's huge.
It's huge.
It's huge. I didn't realize a balloon went down there about 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
That's right, I was there.
My dog took off, and I drove over with Tommy Gamma and used, direct traffic and everything. But I not enough area for recreation or the place to have a Easter egg hunt or something, I can't, it's our taxes that pay for that land. Why can't the residents of the community just use that?
And that's a
Instead of
question.
saying, oh, we're gonna take an area that's untouched as a natural area and let's blow it out into a, recreational facility. Use what we have, we pay our taxes already built, it's a beautiful area, very acceptable.
I think the school district has some restrictions on that, but I think that's one of the things that we can take a look at.
Yeah, we're gonna
Expand that. Warren?
I think some people have a misconception of open space and they equate it with active recreation. One of our supervisors made a comment in his speech 2 meetings ago and made the assertion that the more open space we have, the more it's going to cost to maintain and it's going to be expensive for the township. Well, that's true if it's active recreation like ball fields and things like that. But passive open space does not require that kind of maintenance, and it's something I don't think a lot of people grasp that concept.
That's a good point. That's a good point, and I think we'll make that point in the plan as we go forward. Linda?
And also too, it seems like parking to utilize a lot of this space is an issue. With the school district, there's a huge park, and right behind the school property is county-owned land, part of the Sunrise Inn complex, part of maybe a future trail system, and what the county doesn't own, I believe they have an easement on that side of East Swamp Creek with the Camp Arthur, So really the school itself, and I guess now we call it Scour track, it's no longer the DeSanto track, abuts right up to county-owned land and county-owned easements. So that may be something you want to look into, utilizing their parking.
So we have a contiguous
But
area.
you could get, you could access the land.
Well, I think one of the things that we haven't really talked too much about is how to prioritize specific parcels. We haven't identified specific parcels yet in this plan, and I'm not sure if we will, because that's been identified in the open space plan, so we really update that specifically with that information. Tonight, I think we just want to focus in on the broad goals and some actions that we can take, that including maybe updating the open space plan to address parcels that are either no longer available or other parcels that may be.
And also other partnerships
Yes, yeah.
that we can entertain, whether it be with the school district or the county, and I mean, it doesn't
Natural
all
Land
have to
Trust.
be Lower Frederick land, but, let's utilize the other space that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the open space plan did. When it looks like, when you do your inventory of open space, it's not just what you own. Yeah, it's looking at county land, school district land, and sort of what you have access to, not just what you own.
And then where you feel that